Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I am joined once again today by retired Master Sergeant John Keene of the Morphy Auction Company to debate a pair of guns. We've been doing a bunch of these now, and they're really always quite a lot of fun.
They are a lot of fun for us, and the feedback is indicating it's a lot of fun for you too.
And I realized this is the classic, like Glock versus 1911 that we've never actually done, and that is World War II submachine guns, the PPSh versus the MP-40. The Germans and the Russians literally had this argument. And I think before we pick, because I know which one I'm going for, and I suspect I know which one you're going for, I want to point out that when the Germans and the Soviets both investigated the theory that the other guys have a better submachine gun, they both came to the conclusion that the other guy did have the better submachine gun. The Germans wanted PPShs with MP-40 mags, and the Soviets wanted MP-40s with MP-40 mags. Which one do you want?
I think the high velocity PPSh is probably the better choice of the two. But if I'm going to maybe pick, I'm going to pick the MP-40 because the Germans did adapt those to take the higher magazine capacity.
I was worried there that I'd lost my touch when you started talking PPSh, because I knew you were going to go with the MP-40. Like, you just really like the MP-40. A lot of people really like the MP-40. I don't like the MP-40. If I'm given the choice, I'm going to take the PPSh.
I'm glad, because now we're on opposite sides, and it always makes for a better video.
Yes, and we didn't even set out conditions, like pick one for what. For me, assuming we're not talking about just straight up resale value, although even there, I don't know, PPShs are not nearly as desirable, but they are fairly rare. MP-40s bring a lot of money. For virtually any scenario, I would rather have the PPSh than the MP-40.
Okay, well, let's talk about this. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun back and forth here. I can see coming along. Okay, the PPSh-41 with the drum has a higher magazine capacity than the MP-40. It has a higher velocity of the MP-40. It has and it has easier, faster to produce attributes from the construction part of it. Those are all pluses in its favor. The MP-40 has a slower rate of fire.
Yeah.
And I can put that sucker out there and aim it, and I can squeeze off rounds like a semi-auto. Well, PPSh can do the same thing. I like the MP-40 because of the weight and the holding of it is, to me, more ergonomic for squeezing off those single rounds than the PPShs. I have both of them. I more consistently bring the MP-40 out to the range, especially with beginners, than I do.
That makes perfect sense.
And that is going to weigh in its favor. Since we didn't put conditions out there, you didn't say, okay, you and I are going to Ukraine, and we're going to square off, we're going to get into some fighting, which one do we pick? We didn't put in that kind of condition. I kind of looked at it as, well, all right, what am I going to take out? Because they're really commiserate as far as the price point is these days. PPSh is a little less, perhaps.
So something that we've talked about between the two of us is that rate of fire is kind of an odd thing in that a nice slow rate of fire can be very easily controllable. And the grease gun is a perfect example. And the MP-40 is not that much faster than a grease gun. And I agree, it is a very controllable gun. And then when you get into sort of this middle range of rate of fire, it can just sort of get into a dynamic with the shooter where like you're bouncing at the same rate as the gun and it's hard to control at that like 600 to 800, 700 to 900 round per minute.
Human being is part of the recoil system of a handheld or shoulder-fired machine gun, and that has to be taken into account.
And where it gets a little weird is if you keep bumping the rate of fire up, once you hit like 1,000, depending on the gun, it kind of comes back into being controllable. Like it's a heavier constant push, but it's just a lot easier to hold on target. And the Suomi is an excellent example of that.
We experienced that.
Yeah.
We experienced that.
And so as I see it, the MP-40 is very controllable, slow rate of fire. The PPSh is a very controllable, high rate of fire. I don't see this as being anything I'd have trouble shooting, and I'm less concerned about trying to be able to pull singles on it because it actually has a semi-auto selector, which the MP-40 does not. Just saying.
Right.
Magazine capacity is higher. The drum magazines are not as well. The drums are reliable, but it's harder to interchange them. You kind of have to go through a bunch of drums, find the ones that fit your gun, and then keep those drums. But that's not a big deal to me. And the stick magazines are totally interchangeable, very reliable. They're great magazines. Like, the MP-40 is good. It's reliable. I prefer the PPSh magazines over the MP-40 mag. I like
Now we're into and who's loading it for you?
the drums take time, but they're easy to load. You're not wearing out your thumbs loading the drums.
This is true.
What I don't like on the MP-40 is the stock. They always wobble. I think those stocks started wobbling 10 minutes after they left the factory.
So now let's talk about the other thing, which I hadn't mentioned yet. What was the designed specification when they were developing the MP-40? Why? It was made to be a compact weapon which could be utilized for dismounted armor troops.
Yeah.
And be able to get in and out of a hatch and so forth easily. And that swing loop does that. So maybe that's a consideration. Maybe it's not. It's some consideration.
You are trading portability for shootability. You're going to you get a much better cheek weld off of a solid wood stock on a PPSh than you do off that wobbly tube.
They do become wobbly after time. I certainly can shoot the MP-40 accurately. And you are right. The durability factor over time is going to have an effect on it.
And it's not just MP-40s. Underfolding AKs are the same way. Those stocks immediately become loose and wobbly. But yeah, it is. You can shorten this thing by cut a third off its length, which you cannot do with the PPSh. But to me, that's like the only downside I see to the PPSh.
I've spent a lot of hours with one of these slung over my shoulder, moving around with it, moving comfortably with it. I haven't spent a lot of hours on this, but I have no doubt it would be just as comfortable to carry around.
Well, the Soviets did see the stock as ultimately a bad compromise, because when they developed a replacement for the PPSh, it was the Sudaev, and it had a folding stock, fairly similar to this one, in fact. But yeah, for me, like, I know the MP-40 is a very popular gun with basically everybody. I just never got that disease.
They're both really good submachine guns, and they're both really popular. And the MP-40 has seen more screen time than the PPSh has.
That's definitely true.
And that has an effect on the iconic status in the American psyche.
Yeah.
Yeah. Parts abound for both.
Yep.
They're both really great guns. But when I am asked, and I often am asked, what is one of the best submachine guns for a beginner who wants something of an historical nature, I go to the MP-40 more often than I go to the PPSh. And because of the availability of the ammunition. Now, I grew up at a time when the 7.62 x 25 was not as plentiful or available. It was plentiful worldwide.
Right.
But in this country, it was so much easier to get 9mm ammunition.
There was about a decade when Tokarev ammo was super easy to get and cheap, when we had Eastern Bloc imports from Poland, Poland was the big one.
Balkan states, too.
Yeah. It was dirt cheap. It was corrosive. It was super powerful because a lot of it was submachine gun ammo. And so, there's some blown up CZ52 pistols as a result of that ammo. But
I'll tell you, I love shooting the Finnish 9mm. That's great stuff.
Yeah. But I will definitely agree with you about utility for a beginner shooter. The MP-40 is definitely the better gun there. The high rate of fire of the PPSh is something that you have to get a little bit of experience and practice with. Once you know how it runs and you know what to expect and you're competent with it, it's very controllable and very effective. Yeah. But if you've never shot a machine gun before, it's definitely The MP-40 is the better of the two guns.
I'll say something very positive about the PPSh. I brought my son with me out to the Oklahoma full auto shoot recently, and a friend of mine had a CNR PPSh-41, and my son shot that. He was just grinning ear to ear as he was spraying rounds downrange.
I have no doubt. They're super fun guns.
Loving it.
Yeah.
Loving it.
Oh. All right. Well, you guys tell us, am I wrong? Is John wrong? I feel like you're equivocating a little bit, but I know you.
They're both.
I know you have a soft spot in your heart for the MP-40.
I do. It was one of my first machine guns, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I've had a lot of beginners out to the range with it. I've shot the PPSh-41 plenty too. There's no wrong answer.
Yes, there is. The MP-40 is the wrong answer.
You think so?
Fight me in the comments.
Yeah. It's like, well, which one will bring more money at auction?
I assume the MP-40. I haven't really been watching prices for the PPSh especially, but
If you get a good CNR PPSh-41, you can get up there. But for a commensurate original CNR MP-40, they bring more.
yeah.
So there may be best of show display, and then there may be people's choice. Which one? Each one gets a ribbon here, right? Kind of thing. So thank you, Ian.
Yep.
This is fun.
All right. Let us know what you think down in the comments, and we'll catch you with the next one. Thanks for watching.
Great.